Did Lewis Hamilton just expose a huge conspiracy within Mercedes? Did his own team sabotage his qualifying runs? For weeks, rumors have swirled about suspicious activity at Mercedes. Hamilton's teammate George Russell has been putting on a shocking qualifying show, consistently beating the season champion. Now Hamilton's making bombshell accusations, claiming Mercedes might be deliberately hindering his performance. Is Lewis onto something, or is this just sour grapes? What's the deal with these tire temperatures? Let's dive into this video today to break down the drama and see how Mercedes responds. Sergio Perez had a terrible weekend at the Montreal Grand Prix. He didn't score any points because he had to drop out of the race. DNF, did not finish. It was a rough weekend for him. He didn't even make it into the top 10 once. He broke his rear wing, much like Sebastian Vettel did years ago. Even Lando Norris mentioned this during the debrief. Perez's car was in bad shape with a badly damaged rear wing. Normally, you would leave the car where it crashed to avoid causing more danger and scattering debris on the track. Despite this, Perez decided to drive back to the pits. This decision put other cars at risk and left debris on the circuit. As a result of this risky move, Perez was dropped to third place on the grid for the next race in Spain. This penalty made his already bad weekend even worse. Here's the interesting part. Red Bull admitted they told Perez to drive back to the pits even though it broke the rules. They wanted to avoid a safety car because Max Verstappen was leading the race at that time. They thought a safety car would mess up their strategy. Consequently, Red Bull got fined for this. Will Buxton shared his thoughts on the situation. He found it interesting that Red Bull admitted to breaking the rules to avoid a safety car. While he wasn't sure he fully agreed with Red Bull's decision, he thought it was noteworthy that the team openly admitted their strategy. Buxton mentioned that this rule exists to prevent endangering other drivers and scattering debris on the track. Buxton compared this situation to the infamous 2008 Singapore Grand Prix, where Nelson Piquet Jr. deliberately crashed to help his teammate, Fernando Alonso, win. While Buxton didn't think the two incidents were exactly the same, he suggested that Red Bull's actions could be seen as a form of race manipulation. He argued that a more severe penalty for Red Bull might be appropriate, since a €25,000 fine seemed lenient. Interestingly, it was Perez who received the three-place grid drop, not Red Bull. This means Perez will start further back in the next race in Spain. Red Bull's decision to prioritize Max Verstappen's race potentially hurt Perez's standing in the next race. Carlos Sainz also had a tough time at the Montreal GP. Ferrari had a disappointing weekend, with Sainz scoring 0 points. He had no pace and eventually crashed out of the race, taking Alex Albon with him. Sainz apologized to both his team and Albon. Interestingly, there are rumors that Sainz might join Williams next year, making his apology even more significant. There is speculation that Sainz could be teaming up with Albon at Williams next year. Some believe the deal is very close or even already done. However, it might be officially announced during the Spanish Grand Prix. Charles Leclerc, Sainz's teammate at Ferrari, also had a bad weekend. He experienced an engine malfunction that left him down 80 horsepower. This issue cost him significant time, losing between half a second to a full second per lap. Drama at Alpine and Hamilton's struggles. Towards the end of the Montreal Grand Prix, Alpine faced some internal drama. Esteban Ocon made a cryptic comment post-race saying, "No comment, I'm too nice. I've done what I had to do, which is the most important, but you guys didn't do what you had to do." This remark stemmed from team orders given to Ocon to let Gasly pass, possibly to challenge Daniel Ricciardo. Ocon resisted, stating, "We're never going to do that anyway." Later, Ocon requested to regain his position after Gasly failed to make progress, but Alpine instructed him to stay behind Gasly. Understandably, Ocon was unhappy about this decision. Ocon, who was dropped from the team, felt frustrated but acknowledged the politics at play. There's speculation that these decisions could be punitive, stemming possibly from incidents like Monaco, though Alpine denies any connection. Observers hope Ocon might channel this frustration into aggressive racing in upcoming events. Moving to Red Bull, Christian Horner responded to comments by James Allison, who suggested that Red Bull's recent upgrades were not improvements. Horner countered, pointing out that despite these perceived setbacks, Red Bull still outperformed Mercedes. This exchange underscores the competitive tension between the two teams. Meanwhile, Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton have faced significant challenges this season. Before the season began, there was anticipation of Hamilton possibly leaving Mercedes for Ferrari. However, the season has seen questions arise about Hamilton's form and George Russell's potential ascent. Hamilton's qualifying performances have been notably weaker compared to previous seasons, with Russell often out-qualifying him this year. Hamilton's qualifying record against Russell stands at 1-8 this season, highlighting a significant shift in dynamics within Mercedes. While Hamilton remains competitive in race pace due to his experience, Russell's dominance in qualifying raises eyebrows. Despite this, Hamilton's race performance continues to hold its ground, demonstrating his resilience and skill. The Mercedes team dynamics have been under scrutiny, with Hamilton hinting at internal friction. His comments suggest dissatisfaction with strategic decisions, such as tyre choices. For instance, in Montreal, Mercedes opted for hard tyres for Hamilton, a decision that some found questionable. This decision affected Hamilton's ability to challenge further up the grid, placing him in unfavourable positions during the race. Hamilton has openly expressed frustration, calling some races among his worst performances. His remarks indicate a growing disconnect between him and the team. This tension is with Russell and within the broader team structure. Observers speculate whether underlying issues influence Mercedes' decisions, reminiscent of past controversies like the 2020 Sakir Grand Prix. The 2020 Sakir Grand Prix, where Russell replaced Hamilton, was marred by a controversial puncture incident. Some theories suggest that the puncture was deliberate to test Russell's resilience or manage internal dynamics. Hamilton's struggle with qualifying and Mercedes' decisions. Lewis Hamilton's qualifying performances this season have raised eyebrows, especially due to his frequent battles with George Russell. Despite being competitive in practice sessions, Hamilton often finds himself behind Russell during qualifying. Hamilton has openly acknowledged this, stating, "If I'd qualified the way I should have, I would have been competing for the win." This admission reflects his frustration at not matching Russell's qualifying pace. One of the contentious issues surrounding Hamilton's qualifying struggles is Mercedes' tyre strategy. Hamilton has hinted at possible sabotage, suggesting that his tyre temperatures were consistently lower than they should have been during qualifying. He remarked, "Every set of tyres that I got was 2 to 3 degrees lower in temperature." This discrepancy impacted his ability to warm up the tyres effectively, potentially costing him crucial tenths of a second. Hamilton's implication that Mercedes might be manipulating his qualifying performance has sparked controversy. He raised concerns about the tyre blankets being set at incorrect temperatures, affecting his performance on track. This allegation, if true, could indicate deeper tensions within the team or strategic decisions aimed at favouring George Russell, who has consistently outqualified Hamilton this season. The strained relationship between Hamilton and Mercedes has been evident in recent statements. Hamilton's remarks suggest a growing disconnect between him and the team, especially regarding strategic decisions. He highlighted instances where his preferred tyre strategy was not followed, impacting his race performance. Observers have questioned Mercedes' strategic decisions, particularly their tyre choices during races. Hamilton criticised the team for opting for hard tyres, which he felt were inferior to the medium tyres used by his competitors. This decision further compounded his challenges during races, where optimal tyre strategy is crucial. Looking ahead, the implications of Hamilton's struggles and Mercedes' internal dynamics could influence the championship standings. Despite his difficulties, Hamilton remains a formidable race contender, leveraging his experience and pace. However, his deficit in qualifying against Russell could potentially impact his championship aspirations. As the season progresses, the championship standings reflect Max Verstappen's and Red Bull Racing's clear dominance. Hamilton's struggle to match Russell's qualifying pace has also affected Mercedes' performance in the Constructors' Championship. The team's ability to resolve internal conflicts and optimize strategies will be critical in their bid to close the gap with Red Bull. So, what do you think of Hamilton's major bombshell about Mercedes sabotaging tyre temperatures? Comment below your views and subscribe for more.